60 years. And this was the port.
Mbaba was the biggest
Yes,
port of Egypt
big
back then.
port of Egypt.
Yes.
And they could see the ships coming with goods from Greece, from Turkey, sailing all the way up to here. And here near the big mosque, which still exists in this area, they would undo all the goods,
Yes.
and it will be distributed all over Egypt. And on smaller ships, it would go to the different cities. It would go to Tanta, or it would go to Aswan. The distribution system would be on the Nile. So you can see how the Nile was important.
But it's a shame that we don't use maybe the port of Mbaba right now, and it's just we don't know that it's a port in the first place now.
Yes, that's true. The trouble is that
Or other places in Egypt, or other
Yes.
ports in Egypt that
Well,
were used in the past and not
the
now.
ports on the Nile is very interesting. If you take them from the northern part of Egypt, you'll find the port of Rosetta, of Damietta. Then you go down, you find Kafr Dawar, Kafr Zayat. They're all on the Nile. And the next stop would be here, which is north of Cairo, or Mbaba. And this was not only a port, it was also shipbuilding. So there was shipbuilding up there. They were making cannons for ships. They were making all the woodwork. They were building all the dahabiyas. And then as you go along, you have ports. Every little village on the Nile is in a way a port. Now, of course, the last stage of all this scenario we're talking about is the big tourist steamers. And actually there are more than 400 steamers on the Nile. They are up 1, 2, 3 or 3 stories. They carry a large number of passengers. Mostly they are touristic. What happened this year was that instead of their being located in Luxor and Aswan
Yes.
and not moving, now they're starting to take them from here. So instead of a tourist taking only, let's say, 5 days, Aswan, Luxor,
Yes.
now he's got 10 days plus 5. So you've got a more important use of the Nile.
Before we leave the story of the ship that you've actually
Yeah.
built or designed, I've actually wondered about the ships that were being put within bottles. Do you know these
Yes,
things?
yes.
How do you do these?
As you see, this ship, it's a hull, which is the bottom part, and then there are masts. So now you want to put it inside the bottle. What they do, that all these masts and all these sails, they make them movable. So they bend them like this, one after the other, so they're all flat.
Yes.
And they have a little string. They push all this inside of the glass, inside, and when it's inside, they pull the string. So all
So
this
it can be erected once again.
erected once again, because you can't go in through the narrow part in front.
Yes.
With
course.
all the masts up there.
It's a bottleneck.
It's a very simple trick. But over the years, all these little ships on bottles were with a little piece of string, or with in order to lift up all the masts, lift up all the sails.
But how much time would it take you to build such a ship? Maybe a smaller one than
It's
this?
a hobby. It's
would
a
be
hobby.
taking a
Now
lot of
it's
time.
getting out of circulation. They make plastic ones.
Yes.
But all the big capitals of the world, the harbors, the sailors and the fishermen, when the weather is very bad, they sit and make this. So they can sell them. If you go to Le Havre in France, or you go anywhere, it's a pity that we don't have this thing here. In Aswan, the little boys, who we know they come around the tourist ships and paddle their little boats, they are making wooden things. And they are selling them. It's a good thing. Everybody wants to take home something like that.
Yes.
In a bottle or not in a bottle. So you see, there's so much to tell you about the Nile.
Yes, regarding the Nile as well, we've spoken about transportation within the Nile itself. Would it be a good idea to maybe initiate a new transportation within the Nile, maybe such as the Nile taxi taking you from Mbaba to Zamalek, or
Yes.
from Zamalek to Maadi, or
Yeah.
from Maadi to anywhere
Yes.
else with the Nile itself?
Very, very good question. Look, already we've got a Nile bus. And there are stations everywhere where you can take. Actually, people are not using them. But when I had problem with the traffic, I was taking from Giza here to Tahrir the Nile bus. Very, very cheap and very reliable. And they start at 5 in the morning. Now, you can have a Nile taxi. Nobody
Yes.
thought of that. Maybe somebody wants to go quickly from one to the other. Now I want to tell you something very funny. We have friends who work, who live in Maadi, and they want to work in Tahrir Square or in Zamalek.
Yes.
So they've got a boat in front of their club or the house in Maadi. They take it in 15 minutes. They're in front of their office.
Yes.
So it's a pleasure. So you can use it also.
We should be all
for
having this
transportation,
idea,
apart from
yes,
the
and implement it in
the
the
other
future as well.
transportation. So you see, in Nile cruise, you've got all sorts of things.
Dr. Youssef Mazhar, thank you very much
Thank
for being
you.
with us today
Thank you.
on Nile Cruise.
It was very nice. I hope our viewers will learn a bit more about the Nile.
course they
And
will.
we hope that it'll be on the Nile.
Yes.
In a felucca or in a motorboat or on a Nile bus.
Very shortly, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for being with
Thank
us
you.
today. And now it's time to go out for a quick break, so stay tuned with us on Nile Cruise.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back. Our guest is very distinguished this time. She is an Egyptian, Italian, and I chose to mention that she's Egyptian before Italian because she originally comes from Italy. She's a ballerina, she's a choreographer, she's a director, she's an artist, she's everything, I guess, and she's also the wife of the late Abdelmenem Kamel, who is the chairman of the National Cultural Center, Cairo Opera House. As we all know that Abdelmenem Kamel was appointed artistic counselor to the previous chairman of the National Cultural Center of Cairo and artistic director for music, opera and ballet before he himself became chairman in August 2004. As we all know that Abdelmenem Kamel was to the layman in the street a great dancer in the opera house. Our guest Arminia Kamel graduated as a professional ballet teacher at the La Scala of Milano, and in 1982 she joined the Cairo Ballet Company as first dancer, choreographer and trainer, and she participated as a choreographer in Aida at the Pyramids and Aida, and that was in Beijing in 2008. In 2004, she was appointed as an artistic director of the Cairo Ballet Company. The same year, she received an award from the Italian government. And in 2007, she received another award from the Italian government. Of course, there is a title for this award. It's in Italian language. She's going to talk to us about it. Many other awards, if I can spend like an hour talking about the different awards she was granted, I would never be finished, so I leave it to our prominent guest, Mrs. Arminia Kamel, the ballerina and the artist. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Mrs. Arminia. I will start with your love for ballet. How did it start for you?
So I started when I was still a small girl, and this passion grew in myself without I notice it. But when I was 9, I asked my parents to start the real career of ballerina, and I entered the academy in La Scala of Milano, which is one of the most famous in Italy. And since then, I never stopped loving ballet, dancing, making choreography, and the love of ballet brought me to know Abdelmonem Kamel, because Abdelmonem Kamel came to dance in La Scala Theater. He danced for 2 years, and as I was soloist and he too was soloist, we started to dance together. So we knew each other, and from that day we never left each other, and he brought me here in Egypt, where I started a fantastic career thanks to him and to his help even to introduce me in the artistic Egyptian life, which is very rich, extremely rich. And I felt that Egypt could be my second country, and now it is my first country. As I elected Egypt as my first country for my love for my husband and for the love for ballet, which is connected, very strictly connected. And so all the life that I spent here, it was based on the work at the Opera House, and based even on the relation, the artistic and familiar relation with my husband. Of course, it was so strictly connected that nowadays I feel a little bit lost. After the death of my husband, I really feel that there is a big drop in anything I'm doing. You understand why?
Yeah.
Because I told you in brief my life, and you understand why.
We understand, of course, that Abdelmonem Kamel was such a great artist, a dancer and a choreographer, and also that you have learned a lot from Mr. Abdelmonem Kamel. He has left a legacy of art, especially in that kind of art, the ballet. So tell me, what did you learn from him, and what other things that you think, after you collect yourself back again, you should carry on with his legacy?
Yeah, this is a very good question, because when I met him, I could understand that he was in that time already a very great artist, not only a dancer, but I understood that his culture in ballet and in music was extremely rich. Plus, he had the gift for it, because there is somebody who studied all his life, but he never reached the peak of the possibility. Abdelmonem Kamel was a complete artist when I knew him. He was already choreographing and teaching and dancing, and he had a deep knowledge of the matter that he was treating. So I was really charmed by him, because ballet for me was so important. Then I found somebody that could really go into the art of ballet so deeply, not only as a matter of expressing a performance, but it was something that it was part of his life. And I learned from him the culture of ballet, I can say. I knew the technique of ballet, but from him I knew the culture of ballet. So this was the first attraction that I had for him, and then I knew him as a extremely intelligent person, because Abdelmonem Kamel was not only an artist but an extremely intelligent person. That's why he could do all what he did in his life.
Mrs. Arminia, what does it take to be a good supervisor for the opera ballet?
I had the chance